Morning, everyone. Welcome to day 2 of SFF. Wonderful to see the energy and enthusiasm still percolate. It amazes me that every year this thing gets so much better with all the new topics and relevant information that's cascaded. Delighted to have the opportunity to be here on stage with you. I just want to talk about 3 themes for today, right? And those 3 themes are, what is the latest and greatest of e-commerce checkout experiences, which is a very, very important aspect of how commerce is getting conducted in Asia Pacific. Number 2, I'll talk to you about how we are reimagining the 16-digit credential that used to be a debit or credit card and what that credential stands for in the future. And number 3, I'll talk to you about some ecosystem solutions which we're just launching at the SFF, which might be of interest to you. One is an AI-driven risk score for RTPs, and the other is use of data and data tokens, which might be a new area for some of you. So let's talk about next generation of e-commerce checkout first. The 2 products I want to share with you are passkeys, payment passkeys, which is a modern way to authenticate transactions. Authentication is incredibly important because of the security implications and fraud which happens. On the other, it's been a painful experience for friction in checkout. And how are we solving for that with passkeys and click to pay, which is the new product for e-commerce guest checkout transactions. Number 2, like I said, a flexible credential and how we are enabling wallet experiences, particularly wallets to go cross-border. And thirdly, the next generation of ecosystem solutions protect for RTP transactions and data tokens, like I said. Let's talk about the first one, which is the next generation of e-commerce checkout. And we're thrilled to introduce you to as to how we are redefining online shopping here in Asia Pacific. And I'll talk to you about passkeys, which is using biometrics on the device and public and private cryptography, which is the FIDO standard, to completely eliminate OTPs, completely eliminating the need for one-time passwords as an authentication protocol for checkout transactions. How does this work? Alex, our consumer, first creates a passkey. It's very simple. Alex's bank suggests that she set up a passkey to make online experiences easy. In this case, she's using a Face ID on her device. The passkey is getting generated, and Visa at the back end is passing on the cryptographic message to her bank issuer, validating the passkey. And the payment passkey is ready to use. So the next time that she wants to check out, all she needs to do is, on her favorite device, do exactly what she would, which is a Face ID or number of finger lock or a pattern recognition, and that serves as the authentication protocol for the e-commerce transactions. This means that she does not have to navigate out of the merchant site, go to the issuer site, do the OTP, and come back again to the merchant site, which causes 4 to 5% reduction typically in payment success rates. Now let's see how the authentication protocol is used in our product, which we are calling click to pay. Before telling you about click to pay, what is the problem statement and what are we solving for? 50% of commerce transactions in Asia Pacific happens online. Of those online transactions, 50% is guest checkout transactions. What is a guest checkout transactions? When you're not putting your card credentials on file with the merchant, but you're entering your 16-digit each time that you want to check out. Incredibly painful process. You're entering your 16 digits, you're entering your expiry date, you're entering your CVV. And a guest checkout transactions typically takes 2 minutes and 20 seconds to check out. Not ideal from an e-commerce checkout experience. What we are doing is a method called click to pay. Think about click to pay as the online equivalent of offline contactless payments. Just like where you see the ripple sign, you just tap your card or tap your mobile phone to make an offline payment. Anywhere you see the click to pay sign on a merchant site, you'll now be able to check out without entering your card details if you've registered for the service first. How does this work? You can see the logo on the bottom of the screen. That's the Click to Pay logo. This is a EMV Core standard, which means it's not only Visa, it's any payment scheme participating in Click to Pay. Right? So our customer, Alex, sees the Click to Pay icon. She uses passkey to prove it's her. And once it's verified, she's authenticated. All the cards which she has magically appear on a card tray. All she does is click on the card which she wants to use to make the payment. And that's the payment done. This reduces the e-commerce checkout experiences to about 19 seconds from the 2-minute, 20-second that it used to take earlier. So passkeys and Click to Pay are the two new protocols for e-commerce we're launching today. Moving on to next generation credentials. I'm super excited about this one. For 50 years, you had to have different 16-digit numbers for your debit card or credit card or prepaid card or foreign exchange card. Now your card, a single card, can be whatever you want it to be. You don't need to have a multiple range of cards. The bank can issue you one credential, and the customer then chooses at the point of sale whether that credential needs to be used as a debit, which is debit from her bank account, credit, which is from a future store of funds, or it could be pay in installments, it could be pay by crypto, it could be pay by loyalty points, frankly, just about anything that she wants it to be. The rules in the background, so once she makes the payment, she chooses on her mobile app whether that payment needs to be processed as a debit transaction or a credit transaction or an installment transaction or a loyalty transaction, using the same credential, by the way. She's not changing her credentials. And Visa at the back end magically engineers it such that the appropriate message goes to the bank issuer, who then can make the appropriate choice. So she buys a pair of sunglasses and she says that's a debit transaction. She rents an apartment and says that's a pay in 3 or pay in 6 transaction. Chooses a holiday to Costa Rica and says put that on my credit transaction. Remember, she's used the same credential. The credential has not changed. Right? So this is, the credential becomes whatever she wants it to be, whenever she wants it to be contextually. And you can also use the AI-based, rules-based engine of where the merchant is and what the cost of the transaction is to determine what the credential should be. This is super exciting because this is changing the way credentials are used, not as a piece of plastic in your wallet, but as a consumer identifier, and giving complete choice to the consumer in using the payment as she desires. Moving quickly on. Our new wallet form factor experience enables all consumers to pay seamlessly across cross-border use cases for wallets. Asia Pacific is ground zero for wallets, as all of you in the room are intimately familiar with. However, if wallets need to go cross-border, let's assume somebody from GCash in Philippines wants to come to Singapore, they could not do it unless they had a bilateral corridor to facilitate that transaction. Visa is tying up with QR connectors across of Asia Pacific such that this GCash customer from Philippines, for example, would be able to scan any QR locally in Singapore and the transaction would go through. And this wallet experience can be tap to pay using just the phone, could be scan to pay using any QR that they choose to use, could be for an e-commerce payment within the app, or the new kid on the block, Click to Pay. You could use the same wallet transactions. So we're making wallet experiences interoperable, cross-border, and across Asia Pacific, powered by Visa Token. Lastly, moving on to the next generation of ecosystem solutions. Again, Asia Pacific is a hotbed of RTP payments. RTP payments are proliferating across every single market in Asia Pacific. They're incredibly easy, they're real time to the merchant, and often low cost or no cost. However, they come with an unprecedented amount of risk in terms of scams, in terms of wrong payments, in terms of frauds. I've learned terms I've never knew existed 1 year ago. Anybody hear of pig butchering scams? And a variety of other animal prefix scams have proliferated the landscape. The Singapore Police Force estimates that in Singapore alone, last year Singapore citizens lost $690 million in scams. I suspect that number is actually 2x because a lot of us are actually embarrassed to report the scam and that we made the payment to a wrong individual or to a deep fake impersonator, etc. So this is a huge problem. How are we solving for this? We have created a product called A2A Protect, applicable for all RTP schemes globally, which leverages 50 years of Visa data. And since we didn't have that much RTP data, using AI, we created synthetic data to create an AI-based model that translates an RTP experience that looks like less of this, the bank asking you 15 times before you want to check out, are you sure you want to do this? Remember, you have to tick the do's and don'ts. Remember, you could be frauded. Rather unpleasant experience. To more of this. What we do is score the transaction in the background using hundreds of different variables, and the bank would then get a score, and based on that score, the bank could say, yep, I want to send this transaction, or no, I don't want to send the transaction, I want to ask the customer instead whether they want to really make the transaction, or 3, hold the payment. Remember that RTP payments are irrevocable. So if the bank were to just hold the payment for 3 hours, 6 hours, 9 hours, you give a little more time to think through whether you actually want to send the payment to who you want to send it to. We launched this pilot in the UK with the UK real-time payment scheme, and they saw a 54% reduction in fraud rates using this service. And we're now partnering and launching it out across most markets in Asia Pacific. The very last thing I want to speak to you about is data. Data fuels experiences. However, we all need to control our data. But data is incredibly helpful in customizing and making bespoke choices for consumers to make their shopping experiences less banal and more bespoke, more relevant, less spammy for customers. How do we do this? We use anonymized data with customer permission and consent. We tokenize that data using similar architecture as we use for payment tokens, and many of you in the room are familiar with tokenization and use of payment tokens. We use the same architecture on data such that the customer's data can be used with her consent at merchant sites to make the shopping experiences enjoyable and individualized. Let's see how this works. Alex is back again, and now let's see how we use Alex's purchase data to bespoke experiences for her. We again authenticate her using payment passkeys. We obtain her permission to share Visa's data tokens with the merchant, and she says, yep, happy to do it. And now the travel site can offer Alex a personalized experience, enabling curated offers and experiences to her based on data tokens. And the merchant now knows what she likes, where she likes to travel, what her previous purchases have been. And as you can see, experiences are customized based on what Alex needs. And the last thing I wanted to speak to you about, which is data tokens. So 3 points I want to leave with you today: reshaping the future of e-commerce with payment passkeys and click to pay, reshaping the credential with one credential that can do it all, and lastly, AI protection and data tokens. These are super exciting, and we hope to partner with many of our banks, financial institutions, and fintechs across AP to roll this out to a wider audience. Thank you so much.